Peace be upon all those who follow right guidance. For those who are Muslims who understand what I'm saying in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm wishing you the peace, the mercy, and the blessings of Allah, the Creator of all, upon you. Today, I decided that it's very important to talk about the situation of what is happening in America. Because in the midst of the confusion and the chaos, there are many people that don't know how to think straight. They don't know how to think correctly. You know, when you get emotional, it's very hard to think correctly. So, you know, it's important that someone who is able to think without allowing their emotions to overrun or control their thoughts and the thought process is the best one to speak about this type of situation. Now, there are many people that do know how to control their emotions in times of hardship or times of difficulty, but those are very few and far in between. Now, it's very important to understand what the problem is and what the solution is. Now, we have to understand that the root of the problem that exists within the African American community in America is the fact that we do not control our neighborhoods. We do not control our situation. You know, if you look at the majority of the neighborhoods that we as African Americans live in, we're being policed by people who are not people of color, not from our families, not from our neighborhoods. So it's easy for them to do anything that they want to do and then just leave out of the neighborhood. But if the police officer that's policing our neighborhoods is one of our relatives or one of our neighbors, he will not act like we see them acting. He will not feel comfortable or safe to put his knee on the neck of someone that lives in his neighborhood and kill him. That lives in his neighborhood. He will not feel safe to go back home in the neighborhood that he lives because that person that he killed is from that same neighborhood or from that same nationality. But more importantly, from that same neighborhood. Because if he's even black and he's able to leave out of that neighborhood, he will feel a little safer committing an action like that. Also, we do not control or own the houses and the stores that are in our neighborhoods. So if we owned our housing and owned the stores that people are renting in our neighborhoods, we can control who rents those stores. We can control who buys those houses. And then we can generate our own economy within our own neighborhoods and be held accountable to our neighbors and those in our neighborhoods. Not even a store owner that rents the store and leaves out of the neighborhood, but a store owner that rents that store and lives in that neighborhood. Then he will feel responsibility to give the best product. He will feel responsibility to treat his customers with care. So this is the root thing that allows the problem to exist that we are living in. So we don't need no pacifier, from the government. We don't need no pacifier from the police department. You know, a pacifier, what is a pacifier? You know, we need to own the pacifiers. We need to manufacture the pacifiers. And better yet, we need the satisfier, not the pacifier. Because what is a pacifier? A pacifier makes the baby think that it's being satisfied, makes the baby think that it is getting nourishment. It makes the baby think that it is being breastfed. So the baby is quiet temporarily. So we don't need a temporary pacifier that will not solve the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is that those who are policing us are not from us. They don't live amongst us. They don't feel for us. We don't control our own situation. We don't control our own economy. So that is what has to begin to change if our solution is going to change permanently. That is what we must begin working towards. Okay, maybe we're willing to accept that pacifier now, but in the long run, that is not the solution. We need the satisfier, not the pacifier. And that is the problem with our situations in America. We are constantly, as a child, crying out and having a tantrum because it is not being treated properly by its caretaker, by the surrogate mother or the surrogate father, not even the real mother or father. You know, the government is treating the African Americans like they are children having a tantrum, crying out and destroying things. So give him a pacifier or spank him. So they send in the military. They wouldn't send in the National Guard or military if you also had a tank or you also had machine guns. They would say, we have to negotiate. You know, talking to you as if you are their peer, not as their inferior, treating you as if you are children having a tantrum. So they've got to spank you or give you a pacifier so you'll stop crying temporarily. So we have to change our situation. If you're willing to accept that pacifier or, you know, to be afraid of the spanking that they're threatening you with, because they don't respect anything if it doesn't threaten them financially or physically. So if you are inferior to them, and they consider you inferior to them economically, even physically, they consider you inferior. So they're treating you in that way, only considering giving you a pacifier so you'll stop crying and stop having your tantrum temporarily. But that is not the solution, and it should not be our goal. Take a look at part 2, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail how we can solve this problem that we are facing and what is the root causes. Thank you, and keep watching, and I'm hoping for a better future. We didn't get a solution when we got a black president, and we didn't get a solution if we get a pacifier, a temporary pacifier. Peace be unto those who follow right guidance.